the mighty and resilient Merrimack River, carving through the communities of our great region. My name is Linda Lorden, proud president of Merrimack County Savings Bank, and like the river that serves as our namesake, we're a constant yet ever-changing presence. Because to us, it's bigger than banking. It's about powering communities and putting people first. It's about knowing where you came from and where you're going. That's Merrimack style. Visit us at themerrimack.com.
Hello and welcome to my reboot of the Learning British Accent podcast. Now, it's been a while since I recorded an episode, so I hope you're going to enjoy this brand new format. I'll be using my daily emails as the main focus of this new season, so weekly episodes will contain some general advice around speaking English with an RP British accent, some various vocab exercises on a variety of topic areas, examples of phrasal verbs and how you can use them in your conversations, practice with idioms and English expressions to help you sound like a native speaker, and ideas, tips and inspiration to improve your spoken English. Now, most episodes will have around 5 sections and will be kept to short, easily digestible episode lengths of around 10 to 15 minutes. So, without further delay, let's kick off with our first section. Section 1. Don't mistake the sound of a posh voice as the sound of integrity and intelligence. This week marks, for many, the start of the new academic year. It's that back-to-school feeling. If you're starting a new school, college, university, or a new job, congratulations and the best of luck. It's also the week that sees the return of MPs to the green benches of Parliament, which these days sadly serves as a reminder that despite all the numerous well-spoken, educated voices we hear from our government, a posh voice may sound polished, but it doesn't automatically grant someone moral or intellectual superiority. The sound of integrity is found in consistent actions, honesty, and ethical behaviour. Intelligence shines through thoughtful insights, well-reasoned arguments, and the continuous pursuit of knowledge. My aim at learningbritishaccent.com is not to make you sound like a toff. It's to give you confidence in your spoken voice, so that you can enjoy speaking English, knowing that the content of what you say is easily followed and understood. The RP British accent is a great vehicle to help your speech sound clear and comprehensible, but not a substitute for poorly thought-out ideas and dishonest dialogue. Anyway, here's to you sounding real and relatable. P.S. Obviously, if you're an actor and need to speak like an English toff for your next role, I can help with that too. Section 2. As you negotiate your new school, job, college, university, you'll have the opportunity to speak with lots of different people in lots of different situations. As you chat, you'll be exposed to many different accents, English fluency levels, and perhaps a range of speech habits and patterns. You may come across people who excessively use filler words like like, etc. Use a monotone voice with little inflection. Overuse vocalized pauses like etc. Have poor enunciation or mumbling. Have excessive use of vocal fry. Use upward inflection at the end of sentences, making statements sound like questions. Over-enunciating words in an unnatural way. Habitual nervous laughing or chuckling. Grunting regularly as a vocal filler. Saying, you know, repeatedly throughout sentences. As you listen, you may also realise that you're guilty of one or more of these vocal tics. Everyone has some quirks, and of course it's subjective what speech habits are truly annoying and irritating. Mild speech patterns are usually not a significant issue, But here are some suggestions for becoming more aware of your own speech habits. Record yourself speaking and play it back to listen objectively. This can help you identify any quirks or repetitive speech patterns. Pay close attention when speaking to notice any habits. For example, consider how often you say repeat words, or use filler phrases. Read a passage out loud, focusing on your enunciation, vocal control, and use of inflection. This can reveal speech patterns. Listen carefully when others speak, so you recognise effective and poor speech habits. Reflect on what makes someone a good communicator. If you notice a specific habit, make a conscious effort to reduce its use, but be patient with yourself. If prone to fast talking, purposely slow your rate and pause more often. Breathe calmly. Stay hydrated, as a dry mouth can worsen stuttering, lip smacking, or articulation. Address any medical issues like allergies that can affect your voice or breathing. Now I'll go into more detail of many of these speech habits over future daily emails. In the meantime, being mindful when you speak and not being too self-conscious are key to improving gradually over time. Have you noticed any speech habits that either you've recently integrated into your speech or just become more aware of? If English isn't your native language, do you have any speech habits you notice when speaking in English rather than your native tongue? I've noticed that some non-native speakers use a lot more of the sounds between words as they speak. This seems to be an English fluency issue, but the sheer amount of use can make it distracting to the listener. Bad speech habits occur in both native and non-native speakers. But which one of those are your pet speech peeves? Section 3. In today's email, we'll be looking at emotion phrasal verbs, 2-word verbs that describe emotions and moods. Phrasal verbs are very common in everyday English speech and writing, so it's important to understand them and learn how to use them correctly. Emotion phrasal verbs allow us to express our feelings in a more descriptive and vivid way. For example, you could say, "I was very sad," or you could say, "I was feeling down." This gives a clearer picture of your emotional state. Some common emotion phrasal verbs include cheer up, let down, face up to, open up, etc. And each of these phrasal verbs expresses a different sentiment or reaction. So here's a brief list of phrasal verbs with accompanying sentences. Emotion phrasal verbs. Cheer up, which means become happier. She was feeling sad, so I tried to cheer her up with some funny jokes. She was feeling sad, so I tried to cheer her up with some funny jokes. Cheer up. Break down. To become very upset and perhaps start crying. When he heard the bad news, he broke down and started crying uncontrollably. When he heard the bad news, he broke down and started crying uncontrollably. Break down. Act up. To misbehave. The child started acting up when he didn't get what he wanted. The child started acting up when he didn't get what he wanted. Act up. Wind up. To annoy. Her constant complaining really winds me up. Wind up. Let down. To disappoint. I felt let down when my friends didn't show up to my party. Let down. Open up. Open up means to share feelings. I wish he would open up more about his feelings. I wish he would open up more about his feelings. Open up. Lighten up. Lighten up. To relax a bit more. You need to lighten up and stop taking everything so seriously. You need to lighten up and stop taking everything so seriously. Lighten up. Face up. Face up. To accept responsibility. It's time to face up to your responsibilities instead of avoiding them. It's time to face up to your responsibilities instead of avoiding them. Face up. Tune out. Tune out. To ignore. This is when you lose focus and ignore something. I tuned out when the lecture started getting boring. I tuned out when the lecture started getting boring. Tune out. Zone out. Zone out. Very similar to tune out. Again, you're losing focus. She has a habit of zoning out during class. She has a habit of zoning out during class. Zone out. Crack up. Crack up. To laugh uncontrollably. The comedy skit made me crack up laughing. The comedy skit made me crack up laughing. Crack up. Freak out. Freak out. Like a panic. Don't freak out. Everything is going to be okay. Don't freak out. Everything is going to be okay. Freak out. Space out. Space out. Similar to daydreaming. He spaced out and didn't hear what I said. He spaced out and didn't hear what I said. Space out. Clam up. Clam up. To become silent. To become silent. When asked about the incident, he clammed up and refused to talk. When asked about the incident, he clammed up and refused to talk. Clam up. Pipe down. Pipe down. Means to be quiet. Can you pipe down? I'm trying to study here. Can you pipe down? I'm trying to study here. Pipe down. Do you find it difficult remembering different phrasal verbs? Here's some useful tips for memorising the meanings and usage of emotion phrasal verbs. Associate an image or scenario with each phrasal verb. For example, cheer up could be associated with images of smiling, happy people. Learn phrasal verbs in groups or sets that relate to a common emotion, such as cheer up, lighten up, crack up for happy emotions. It's easier to memorise related sets rather than random verbs. Use mnemonic devices or acronyms to remember phrasal verbs. For example, face for face up to. Face up to, admit, confess, express. Face. Study the verbs by looking at how their prepositions change the meaning, like up often means improving mood, down means worsening. Say the phrasal verb out loud when you read or hear it used. Verbalizing helps solidify the memory. Write sentences using the phrasal verbs frequently to reinforce proper context and usage. Make flashcards or sticky notes with the phrasal verbs and put them in places you'll see often. Study similar phrasal verbs together to compare their usages, like open up versus spill out. With regular practice and association techniques, you can master the meanings and usage of emotion phrasal verbs. Before we move on to the next section, now would you like to speak English with an RP British accent? Have you been learning for a while but not making much progress? I'd like to tell you about my British Accent Bundle, which is my online training package, which helps students from all over the world master the RP British accent. In my online training programme, you'll get video lessons that demonstrate proper mouth and tongue placement for nailing those tricky British accent sounds. There are also hours of audio exercises so you can polish your pronunciation until it's spot on. You'll also find modules focused on improving your fluency, listening skills, and conversational abilities. Now, if you think you could benefit from this training and start to feel confident about your speaking and conversation skills, then head over to learningbritishaccent.com/bundle to sign up. Section 4. Following on from our list of emotion phrasal verbs, I created a short multiple-choice quiz to test your knowledge. For example, the question would be, she what when she found out she got the job? Cheered up, broke down, acted up. Select the correct phrasal verb to fit with the sentence. The link will be found in the show notes below. Section 5. The start of a new academic year is one of my favourite times of year. It's another chance to regroup, refresh, and get set for a productive end of year. Now, whenever I need inspiration and motivation, I turn to Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Now, if you've never heard of him, he's an organisational psychologist and author of a number of books. Excitingly, I've just received the paperback of Be Your Future Self Now, which I cannot wait to read. Dr. Hardy has written hundreds of Medium articles in the self-improvement productivity niche and has recorded many YouTube videos and podcasts. Go to YouTube and enter Dr. Benjamin Hardy in the search box and his channel will pop up. If you get a chance, watch his video about creating a personal future self time capsule. What is it? Why do it? And how it can help. Now, the time capsule takes the form of a short video or letter which you open at the specified time in the future to see how far you've come. Now, he uses the example of YouTuber Mr. Beast, who filmed short videos talking to his future self about what he would achieve in that particular time frame. I'll put a link to his 5-year example video in the show notes. Dr. Hardy suggests creating a time capsule for different time frames. For example, 6 months in the future, 1 year in the future, and 5 years in the future. Mr. Beast mainly talked about how many subscribers he wanted for his YouTube channel, but I'd include things you plan to do, places you intend to visit, goals you want to achieve, etc. The point is to bring your future self closer to your present. By being clear on what your goals are, helps you map out a route to get to them. It's also quite entertaining to watch your younger self and see how you've changed or perhaps aged. By focusing on a specific target and daily walking towards your future self, you'll experience the compound effect. What you imagine now is radically small compared to what the compound effect can be. Creating a time capsule may be something to include within your forward planning and goal-setting process if that's the sort of thing you're into. I'll put the link to the full video of Dr. Benjamin Hardy's Future Self Time Capsule in the links below. Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. I hope you can join me next week.